Welcome back, everyone, to round number 2 of TORC, the off-road championship here from Primm, Nevada. The Pro 4s are on the truck, 900 horsepower delivered to all 4 wheels. Johnny Greaves, yesterday wasn't exactly the day he wanted.
Yesterday was went a little bit different for Johnny Greaves. You see him coming up the inside of Scott Douglas, trying to go for the lead, but he overdrives it into that right-hander. He tips over. Adrian Cheney gets caught up. And here you see Johnny Greaves trying to make his way through the pack, just not letting up that throttle, blasting hay bales, doing whatever he can to get near the front. Was still able to come through with a second place finish with no bodywork left on that truck.
Absolutely unbelievable. He still took second. The onboard today will be on the number 7 truck of Scott Douglas, who's sitting in the back of the pack right now. Here we go, green flag racing in our Pro 4s.
Well, Scott Douglas might be at the back now, but I don't expect him to stay there. He had a mechanical yesterday, kept him out of the race. As we come into the first turn, we see number 10, Ross Hook, with the lead. As the rest of the Pro 4s come behind him, and Johnny Greaves already, he's running the same line as his son. Do you think they spot for each other, maybe?
Yeah, Johnny Greaves is coming fast. Look at this pass he already made on Hook on the inside.
He does a perfect slide job, takes the line away so there's no counterattack. And look who's out in front, Johnny Greaves, with his body work today and on all 4 wheels. But behind him we see Mark Jenkins there in the Traxxas truck. He now has gotten a second. Has he got anything for Johnny today?
Well, Mark Jenkins again was just pushed out of this race a little bit yesterday from a little bit of a mistake. Johnny Greaves, though, leading. This is the way we expect Johnny Greaves to do his racing. He likes getting out front, getting in that clear air, and then just powering, making his marks through every single turn.
Well, you've got to imagine, too, though, these guys have to be smart. When you say powering it, you've got to have good throttle control, especially at the beginning of these races. You see a little bit of moisture on the track, so these trucks with so much horsepower, you get on the throttle too hard exiting this turn, and you'll just fly off the track. You've got to get straightened up. Johnny, the best in the business at this.
So Johnny Greaves in the lead, and to check in for more on Johnny, let's go down to Tony Bachhoven.
Well, guys, don't forget, Johnny Greaves is one of the few guys running a manual transmission here. Johnny's told me before that early in the race, when the track's really heavy and muddy like it is right now, it allows him to grab a better gear to get off the corner quicker. So when we see him pull away so quickly like we did in that right-hand turn, that could be part of the reason why.
And that's so true, because he could short shift, put it in a taller gear, lead with that motor, because with 900 horsepower under that hood, he's going to be just fine. As we see the wild man, the winner from round 1, Adrian Cheney, trying to set his sights on the top 2 of Mark Jenkins and Johnny Greaves as he comes in this roller section. This wild man not scared through there, but very stable right now.
And again, 4-wheel drive trucks. That means you can power all of the way around the corner and delivering 900 horsepower.
Well, you can have 900 horsepower, but if you put your foot to the ground when it's slick, all you're going to do is dig a trench and go nowhere in a hurry. But Adrian Cheney looks like he's finding his groove now, starting to put pressure on Mark Jenkins as they come over the catapult.
So there, the black truck coming through now, that is Johnny Greaves. The red truck of Mark Jenkins and the bright orange truck of the wild man, Adrian Cheney, working hard on the back of Mark Jenkins.
And I have to reiterate, TV doesn't even justify the speed that these guys come by you, and the roost, the noise, the intensity. And you see the ruts developing, you see the lower right-hand side of the truck really getting buried. You see the dirt coming out of the side of Adrian Cheney's rear wheel there, and you see a little bit of the bodywork flying off as he goes up the inside.
Oh, trying hard, and somehow they didn't make contact.
How's the split lane going to work out? Side by side. But now Jenkins has the, and Cheney flatlands. You see the truck bottom out, the dirt coming from underneath that. So unable to make the pass there, but he looks like he wants to get around because he can see Johnny Greaves starting to stretch it out ahead of them.
The question I have for you here is, Cheney may be pushing a little too hard and risking some damage to that truck?
Well, if we know Adrian Cheney, that doesn't cross his mind. He's going to run it till it breaks. Look at the interval between Johnny Greaves now as we see Jenkins coming over still in second, followed by Cheney. Cheney applying the pressure, so you know that if Mark Jenkins makes one slight mistake, Cheney is going to be right there to capitalize.
And if either of those two make a mistake, that looks like we've now got a contender coming up in 4th place. We'll have to check. It looked like it was Mike Jenkins.
So we got the Jenkins boys up there trying to both put themselves on the podium, but Adrian Cheney at this point will have nothing to do with that. Will he dive at the inside and do another slide job? Here he comes. Oh, Cheney, look at that. Adrian Cheney never been afraid to pitch that thing in before he gets to the turn. I think sometimes the drivers behind him see his face when he comes in the corner. He flicks that thing so hard.
Well, just over-driving that thing, pushed himself out of the corner and opened the door for the second of the Jenkins brothers, Mike Jenkins. The number 47 goes through. So now Cheney is going to have to work even harder to try and get back through to Johnny Greaves.
So working lap 6 now. Basically, at the end of this lap, we should be seeing the mandatory caution, which is good news for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th place trucks. Gives them a chance to bunch up and have the leader right in front of them before those last 7 laps.
So there comes Cheney. He's taken that option line, trying to work through past Mike Jenkins, but that mistake could be costly.
As you see, Adrian Cheney, you see he commits. He goes from the outside to the inside and he flicks it in, but you can see there just a little too much. He gets on the binders. Fortunately, didn't tip over. Didn't actually lose a whole lot of ground, considering it was a pretty sizable mistake.
So there's Cheney. That orange truck is now trying to find his way first past Mike Jenkins in the number 47 truck, and then he'll still have to get past Mark Jenkins before getting to Johnny Greaves. And Greaves has an almost 5-second lead on Mark Jenkins.
Oh, look at this. Cheney knows he's got to get by before the end of the lap when that mandatory caution comes by. Let's see what he does. He's going to go wide, cut up the inside, carry that momentum out. He goes to the low line. What's going to happen here? They split lanes once again. Mark Jenkins, sorry, with the inside. Mike Jenkins, that is. Too many Jenkins out there. But Cheney up the inside.
Oh, bicycles it.
He clipped the inside, you know, that little banking there, got on 2 wheels. Never let off the throttle.
So we're coming round now to the competition caution, the red and yellow wave, and we will be bunching up all of our trucks now, ready for a restart. Competition caution underway. Wow, let's check in with Tony Buckhoven.
Well, guys, I talked to Mike Jenkins this morning, and he was telling me about the tire change when they went to Cooper Tires this year. The biggest reason, he said, the lugs are much taller on the top of the tire than what they've ever run before. The reason that's important is, like right now, the line they're running, the track's starting to take rubber, so you're getting that shiny black-blue groove on the racetrack where there's no cushion to lean against. So they need more tire to lean against, which has allowed them to really drive harder into the corner and yet have more forward bite coming off the turn.
Let's take a look at our mid-race standings. Johnny Greaves in that number 22 in the lead over Mark Jenkins, then Mike Jenkins, and Adrian Cheney, who is about the hardest working man in show business out there trying to find his way past the Jenkins clan.
As we see Kathy Greaves, look at those, sun's out, guns out, cheering on her husband who's leading this race as they take the green.
So clean going into turn 1 so far, and Cheney still looking for a way through. Scott Douglas now, though, is working the back of Adrian Cheney's machine, so...
And Cheney didn't have to worry about that before that mandatory caution. But if you're Scott Douglas right now, you're looking at this going, I can see the front 4 in front of me as we see these guys battling for the lead. Another split lane. Johnny Greaves and Mark Jenkins going at it, but Greaves has the inside and the line.
And Cheney has got past Mike Jenkins. He has got Scott Douglas right behind him, so Cheney moves up into 3rd place. So right now, Greaves, Mark Jenkins, Adrian Cheney, and then Scott Douglas. You're looking back from Scott Douglas's truck at Mike Jenkins.
At least now we see some people behind old Scott Douglas. In that pre-race show we saw there, no one behind him when he lined up, but he's making his way through, and he is right in the mix of this. Look at these guys.
And you can see the sunlight there coming into that camera as they go up that front stretch. When they come down the back stretch and down this rhythm section, the sun is getting low and it's getting directly in your eyes.
Well, if you're a TORC racing truck driver, vision is something that you just learn to deal with very little of, because, like we said, vision is at a minimal in these things. A lot of it on feel, and for these guys, just talent.
So there's Scott Douglas going through, and then that is Mike Jenkins, but you can see Adrian Cheney is looking for the open door right behind Mark Jenkins again. But Johnny Greaves, look at how clean that truck is.
That truck looks clean, a lot like his driving, just solid, smooth, but not able to get away because Mark Jenkins, Adrian Cheney, and now Scott Douglas. We got a freight train going here. Mike Jenkins still hanging in there, so still all racing, and still anything can happen. These guys are so close.
Laps, though, are winding down, and Cheney knows he's going to have to try and make some risky moves to get past Jenkins if he has a hope of chasing in. Wow! Huge mistake there from Mark Jenkins.
And that may have done some damage as he hit that K-rail head on. We've seen issues in that corner before, Tess.
Well, we saw definitely in the Pro 2 some problems, and right now he is off the track. We'll have to find out if the caution is going to come out. He is on the inside of the track. Let's take a look at what happened here, Grant.
Well, we've seen this. The guys come in this turn too hard, and they have to try and flick it in. And what happens when you bicycle? You have to counter steer, and you have to turn straight into that K-rail. Watch this. Better angle. Look, going over, counter steer, hit the brakes, nowhere to go. Great save, though. That could have been a lot worse.
Unbelievable what these trucks will do. 18 inches of travel in the front, 20 inches in the back. Absolutely incredible. So, off the track goes Mark Jenkins, but Pro 4 racing continues. Be sure to join us for the epic conclusion here from TORC. Welcome back, everyone. Pro 4's on the track here in Primm at TORC, the Off-Road Championship Round 2. Johnny Greaves is leading Adrian Cheney because Mark Jenkins just jumped over the K-rail and put him out of the race, and now Cheney gets his chance to work on Johnny Greaves again.
Well, we arguably have our top 3 guys that we predicted for this race running 1, 2, and 3. Let's see how this turns out. This, to me, is a shootout to the finish. Who's going to be aggressive? Who's going to hold it together? As we see, they start switching up lines.
Wow, look at the speed of that orange truck of Adrian Wildman Cheney on the outside. And the white truck, the AMSOIL truck of Scott Douglas now is trying to find a way, but can Cheney get the line here?
Cheney's got
Johnny
the Greaves. Oh, but Greaves was just able to clear him and close that inside line away from Cheney. As Cheney clips that little inside back again, we saw Scott Douglas make a slight mistake off the landing, lost a couple truck lengths. Let's see if he can make that back up and put this into a 3-way battle for the lead.
And remember, in the last round, round 1, Adrian Cheney passed on the last lap. He went past Johnny Greaves to take the win. And Johnny Greaves remembers that. It is fresh in his mind. So he is not going to let that orange truck do the same if he can help it.
Well, as we're now with less than 4 laps to go, as we saw in round 1, Cheney able to make the pass on the last lap, actually the penultimate corner. A beautiful textbook pass. But Johnny Greaves, he's too smart. You know he's not going to allow that to happen again.
But what it's all about now is, again, hitting your marks, making sure you drive as cleanly as possible. And for Johnny Greaves, that means staying on that fast racing line every lap.
Coming over the catapult. These guys jumping further down the hill. Look at that. In excess of 200 feet. These guys are absolutely flying. As we see, Johnny Greaves running the sort of outside, almost up against the K-rails, whereas Adrian Cheney hugging that inside, getting the wheels on that blue groove.
So close. He's actually almost hitting those hay bales on the inside. Oh, driving deep there, Greaves on the inside.
Oh, and the back of the screen there, we see Mike Jenkins doing the bicycle. I think he was able to save it. These guys, you know they're pushing so hard, these trucks. They have 4 wheels, but half the time they're using only 2 or 3 around these corners.
So you're looking at Johnny Greaves, our current leader in the number 22 Monster Toyota. Behind him, Adrian Wildman Cheney.
And they've also now gapped Scott Douglas just a little bit. So are we looking at a repeat of yesterday? Is Cheney going to be able to shut that little gap down? Look at Johnny running that outside line, just that truck screaming. See Johnny with a red background behind his number 22. That lets us know he is also the defending champion in this class. And as he's trying to show right now why he's the champion.
listen to the sound of those engines screaming.
Makes my hair stand up.
Johnny Greaves trying to hold off Adrian Cheney in these final few laps. It was 1 and 2 Cheney Greaves yesterday. Greaves wants it to be 1 and 2 Greaves Cheney today.
This was the corner where Adrian Cheney was able to make that pass on the last lap. This is the second last time they're going through this turn for the race. But Cheney has to close up a few more track lengths because they are coming to the white flag.
Oh, there you saw how far Cheney jumped compared to Greaves. Greaves put his tires down, got the power down to the ground sooner, and that is where you gain precious time. White flag, 1 lap remains.
Cheney is maintaining that gap, but he's still not close enough as we see Kathy looking on at her husband, Johnny Greaves, probably with sweaty palms like we all have. And Cheney pushing so hard. He's trying everything. He knows it's the last lap.
Amazing the amount of space that Greaves and Cheney have put on the rest of the field now, but Johnny Greaves is driving an almost perfect race so far.
Got to take your hat off to this guy, man. He's had an interesting weekend. I mean, we've seen him from the back to the front, remounted for a solid second position. But if things stay the way they are right now, you'll find him and Adrian Cheney in a tie for the lead after the first 2 rounds. Final corner.
Here we go. Johnny Greaves comes around turn 4 and heads for home, and he will take the win in Primm, Nevada. Adrian Cheney takes second. And as Kathy Greaves says, #1 for Johnny Greaves. Great racing here in Pro 4. We'll check in with our winner when we return here to TORC Racing from Primm, Nevada. Great Pro 4 race here in Primm this afternoon, and an awesome win for Johnny Greaves. And Christy Lee is catching up with Johnny.
Johnny, outstanding performance out there in the number 22 Monster Energy Toyota. Back on top today, you were able to keep Adrian Cheney at bay. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, you know, I was a little worried in the beginning because both those guys up in front that start on the pole have never started there before, you know, and that makes it hard to decide where to go. But I choose the right spot, I guess. I got under on the first corner and then took the lead on the second corner where I blew it yesterday, you know. So that was sweet revenge on my part. And from there, I just, you know, I had CJ coaching me, and I got a little out of control in the first couple laps. The track was slick, so he calmed me down, and man, we hooked them Maxxis tires up with that Toyota power and put the monster power to it, and smooth sailing from there.
Yeah. And once Johnny got past that pack, he never looked back. Take a look at those Pro 4 results.
As we see Adrian Cheney, yesterday's winner, gets second, so you know he's right up near the point. Scott Douglas, nice that he was able to finish, and not only finish, but on the podium. Mike Jenkins, Mark Kwame rounding out the top 5.
Yeah, and Scott Douglas' team working so hard to get that truck ready for today. Awesome racing here in Primm, and our GoPro Be a Hero moment. Well, it's just the shots from those GoPro cameras we have around the track.
Well, fortunately we have GoPros because people wouldn't be able to stand there with the camera because these rocks pelt you. These cameras, indestructible, giving us great views of this great racing.
And that look back from Scott Douglas, who took third today. And let's go to the points now, because the championship 2 rounds in, Cheney and Greaves tied for first place.
Simple math, a first and a second will give you 42nd points, 25 for a win, 22 for second. So Cheney and Greaves trade positions from Saturday and Sunday. Mark Kwame, a surprise on the podium, only 11 points back. Scott Douglas right back in the mix, followed by Hook, Jenkins, and Mark Jenkins.
So a great day for Jarrett Brooks in Pro Light, CJ Greaves in Pro 2, and Johnny Greaves in Pro 4. The TORC Tour now rolls into Charlotte, North Carolina for the next 2 rounds. You've got to be sure to join us there in Charlotte for more of this epic racing. For Grant Langston, Tony Bachhoven, and Christy Lee, I am Tess Sewell. Thank you for joining us here in Primm. More great racing from TORC. Next time we come back, be sure to join us.